The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets in the boardroom, casting harsh shadows on the faces of men who had built their careers on borrowed brilliance. Leilani Reyes gripped the edge of the polished oak table, her knuckles whitening as her prototype schematic, months of sleepless nights etched into every line, flickered on the projector screen behind her. "This isn't just code," she said, her voice steady but laced with fire. "It's the future of sustainable energy grids. And it's mine." But as the room erupted in skeptical murmurs, she caught the flicker of malice in Derek's eyes, the lead engineer whose smile never reached his soul, and in that instant, she knew they weren't just questioning her work, they were plotting to erase her from it. Leilani had always been the outlier, the 28-year-old Filipino-American who traded the humid streets of her childhood in Daly City for the sterile promise of Silicon Valley. Growing up, her Lola had taught her to solder circuits on the kitchen table while whispering stories of Bayanihan, community lifting each other up. Yet here, in the gleaming towers of Innovatech, that spirit felt like a distant echo. She was the only woman in the engineering bullpen, her desk a fortress of tangled cables and half-empty coffee mugs amid a sea of bro-code banter and unspoken hierarchies. But Leilani thrived on the isolation. It sharpened her focus, turned doubt into drive. Her latest project, EcoGrid, a revolutionary algorithm that optimized urban power distribution to cut waste by 40%, was her magnum opus, born from late-night epiphanies in her cramped Mission District apartment, where the hum of the BART train below synced with the rhythm of her keystrokes. That boardroom pitch was supposed to be her breakthrough, the moment she'd step out of the shadows and into the C-suite conversations. Instead, it became the spark that ignited a war. As the meeting adjourned, Derek lingered, clapping her on the back a little too hard. "Impressive stuff, Lay. But you know how it is, team effort, right? We'll polish it up for the execs." His words slithered like oil, and she forced a nod, her stomach twisting. By morning, whispers had spread. Her files, mysteriously shared in the cloud, now bore collaborative edits from the all-male core team. Subtle at first, a line tweaked here, a credit footnote there. But Leilani saw the theft for what it was, a systematic dismantling of her voice. She stormed into the break room that afternoon, the scent of burnt microwave popcorn clinging to the air, and nearly collided with Aria Voss. Aria, the 27-year-old product designer with auburn waves that caught the light like autumn leaves, was the one soft edge in this jagged world. Hired 6 months ago from a boutique firm in Portland, she moved through the office like a quiet revolution, her sketches breathing life into cold specks, her laugh a rare melody amid the clack of keyboards. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the chaos faded. "You okay?" Aria asked, her green eyes searching Leilani's face with that unguarded empathy that made Leilani's chest ache. No one else noticed the way Aria's fingers lingered when handing over a sketchpad, or how their knees brushed under conference tables, accidental sparks in a powder keg. "I'm fine," Leilani lied, sliding onto the stool beside her. But Aria saw through it, always did. She pushed a sketch across the counter, a whimsical rendering of EcoGrid as a glowing neural network, vines of code weaving through cityscapes. "This is yours," Aria said softly. "Don't let them dim it." Their hands touched then, deliberate this time, and Leilani felt the pull, a magnetic current stronger than any circuit she'd ever wired. Aria's touch was tentative, exploratory, like testing the waters of a hidden cove. In that moment, amid the humdrum of the office, Leilani glimpsed possibility. Not just survival, but surrender to something real, something that whispered of shared sunrises and tangled sheets in the quiet hours before dawn. But reality crashed back with Derek's email that evening. Team Sync, refining EcoGrid contributions. Attached was a revised proposal, her innovations repackaged with his name bolded at the top. Rage boiled in Leilani's veins as she paced her apartment, the Golden Gate Bridge a hazy silhouette through her rain-streaked window. She fired off a reply CCNGHR demanding attribution, but the response was a curt dismissal, Collaborative environment, Leilani. Let's not make this personal. Personal? It was her blood, her sweat, her immigrant hustle distilled into lines of code. That night, she couldn't sleep, her mind replaying every microaggression. The sweetheart slips from VPs, the all-hands emails overlooking her inputs, the way Derek's gaze lingered not on her work, but on her body, appraising, dismissing. The next week blurred into a gauntlet. Leilani arrived early, her dark curls pinned back like armor, only to find her access logs tampered, hours of her commits overwritten in the repo. She confronted Derek in the server room, the air thick with the ozone tang of cooling fans. "This ends now," she hissed, shoving her tablet under his nose, timestamps glaring like accusations. He leaned in too close, his breath hot against her ear. "You're good, Lei, but this company's a boys' club. Play nice or get played." The threat hung heavy, laced with the unspoken, her gender, her queerness, rumors she'd overheard in the bathrooms, whispers about that intense girl and the new designer, made her an easy target. She shoved him away, heart pounding, and fled to the rooftop terrace, where the bay winds whipped her face raw. Arya found her there, bundled in a wool coat against the chill, sketching idly on a napkin. "I saw the email," she said, settling beside her without invitation. The city sprawled below, a glittering testament to ambition and erasure. They sat in silence at first, shoulders touching, the proximity a balm. Then Arya spoke, her voice a thread of steel wrapped in silk. "You're not alone in this. I see you, Leilani. All of you." The confession trembled on the edge, and Leilani turned, their breaths mingling in the salt air. What started as a shared vent spiraled into something deeper, a brush of lips tentative as a prototype test, then fervent, Arya's hands framing Leilani's face like she was the blueprint to a better world. In that kiss, under the indifferent stars, Leilani tasted rebellion, not just against the thieves in suits, but against the walls she'd built around her heart. Their secret bloomed in stolen moments, the curve of Arya's smile over shared lunches, the press of thighs under desks during monotonous meetings. Leilani confided in her the full weight of Echo Grid's genesis, how it stemmed from blackouts in her family's old neighborhood, a vow to light up the forgotten corners of America. Arya listened, her fingers tracing patterns on Leilani's palm, mapping constellations of hurt and hope. "We'll fight this," Arya promised, her eyes fierce. "Together." For the first time, Leilani believed it. But trust was a fragile wire, and Derek's web tightened. He cornered Arya in the design lab one afternoon, his voice oily with feigned concern. "Heard you're cozy with Reyes. Careful, she's got a temper. Wouldn't want that rubbing off." Arya's retort was sharp, a shield for the woman she was falling for, but the seed of doubt took root. Isolation tactics, divide and conquer. As weeks bled into a pressure cooker, Leilani doubled down, forking her code to a private repo, watermarking every schematic with invisible digital signatures, her voice embedded like DNA. Late nights at the office stretched, Arya slipping in with takeout from the taqueria down the block, their bodies entwining on the worn leather couch in the lounge, whispers of "I need you," punctuating gasps that echoed off glass walls. Romance in the machine, Leilani's hands, calloused from tools, exploring the soft valleys of Arya's skin, Arya's laughter, a counterpoint to the code's cold logic, reminding Leilani that humanity wasn't a bug, but the feature. Yet paradise was prelude to storm. The quarterly review loomed, and Derek's polished presentation loomed larger. Echo Grid rebranded as Delta Sync, his fingerprints smudged over hers. Leilani's hook into the abyss came during a team offsite in the Napa Valleys, where wine flowed like alibis and facades cracked under the vine-heavy sun. Around a fire pit that night, as embers danced like errant pixels, Derek raised a glass to innovation's unsung heroes, his toast to veiled barb. Leilani's blood ran hot. She stood, voice slicing the chatter. "Unsung? Try stolen." The circle hushed, eyes darting. She pulled up her phone, projecting the original commits onto a borrowed laptop, timestamps unyielding as truth. Gasps rippled, but Derek recovered with a chuckle. Misunderstanding, sweetheart. We're all on the same team. The diminutive stung like salt in a fresh wound, and Leilani's retort died on her tongue as HR's shadow loomed, notebooks at the ready. Back in the city, the fallout festered. Complaints filed, investigations launched, but the company's machine ground slow, greased by old boys' networks. Leilani's emails went unanswered, her meetings canceled with vague, scheduling conflicts. Isolation clawed at her. Arias texts her lifeline, late-night calls where they'd murmur plans of escape, dreams of a startup in the Castro, coding by day and loving by the endless night. But doubt crept in like fog off the bay. Was Arias safe? Derek's glares had sharpened, lingering on her with predatory gleam. One evening, as Leilani debugged lines in the dim glow of her monitor, a shadow fell across her desk. Not Derek, but the CEO, Harlan Graves, a silver fox whose handshake felt like a contract inked in blood. Leilani, he said, voice paternal poison. Talent like yours is rare. But disruption? That's costly. Consider the big picture. The big picture. Her career, her love, her very self. All pixels in their grid. She nodded, bow rising, and watched him saunter away. That night, she broke in Aria's arms, sobs racking her frame on the rumpled sheets of Aria's no valley walk-up. They want me gone, she whispered, Aria's heartbeat a steady drum against her cheek. Aria held her tighter, lips brushing temple. Then we burn it down. Your voice isn't theirs to silence. In the vulnerability, their bond deepened, fingers interlaced like fused circuits, bodies arching in a rhythm that defied the world's code. Love as algorithm. Input pain, output resilience, variable infinite. The turning point ignited on a rain-lashed Tuesday, thunder rumbling like server overloads. Leilani discovered the hack. Derek's admin privileges siphoning her private fork to his drive. Metadata scrubbed, but not clean. Heart slamming, she traced the breach to a shared VPN log. Aria's access key, compromised in a phishing ploy. Panic surged. Was it betrayal? She confronted Aria in the parking garage, rain sluicing down windshields like tears. Did you? The words cracked, raw. Aria's face crumpled, denial fierce. Never. Leilani, please. Proof tumbled from her phone. The phishing email, forwarded to IT weeks ago, ignored. Relief flooded, but so did fury, at the system that pitted them against shadows. United they plotted. Aria's design eyes spotted the forgery flaws. Leilani's code wove the trap. They staged a demo in the all-hands auditorium, the room packed with execs and engineers, air electric with anticipation. Derek presented first, Delta Sync humming on the big screen, flawless, until Leilani hit enter. Her watermark bloomed like digital graffiti. Property of Leilani Reyes. Echo Grid original. Stolen. Timestamp verified. Gasps echoed. Derek's face drained to ash. This is sabotage, he bellowed, but the logs projected next, irrefutable, his digital fingerprints smeared. Harlan's gavel fell. Investigation. Suspension. The works. In the chaos's wake, Leilani stood tall, voice amplified not by volume but verity. Media swarmed, TechCrunch headlines blaring, whistleblower engineer exposes sexism in Silicon Valley, and offers poured in, but she stayed, renegotiating on her terms. Echo Grid hers, a diversity mandate enforced. Derek slunk away, career in tatters, a cautionary bite in the ether. Through it all, Aria was anchor and flame. On the rooftop where it began, under a sky bruised purple, Leilani knelt, not in defeat, but devotion. You saw me when I was invisible, she said, ring glinting in her palm, simple gold band etched with circuit veins. Aria's yes was a vow, tears mingling with laughter, their kiss sealing a future coded in equality. In America's heart of innovation, where dreams glitch and grind, Leilani learned. They could steal lines of code, but never the chorus of her soul or the harmony she'd found in another's. Yet victory's afterglow carried shadows. The lawsuit dragged, depositions dredging old wounds, testimonies from women who'd fled before her. Ghosts in the machine. Leilani testified in a courthouse overlooking the Embarcadero, her words a scalpel dissecting the patriarchy's underbelly. "It's not about one project," she told the judge, voice unwavering. "It's about every voice muted, every idea orphaned." Arya sat in the gallery, hand over heart, her presence a silent amplifier. The ruling came swift. Restitution, credits restored, and a settlement that funded Leilani's mentorship program for underrepresented coders, Filipina girls from the avenues, queer youth from the Castro, all wired for wonder. Nights blurred into a new rhythm. Collaborative hacks in their shared loft, Arya's sketches evolving Echo Grid into a global beacon, Leilani's algorithms pulsing with ethical heart. Their love, once hidden in margins, now bolded in every line, mornings tangled in sunlight, evenings debating ethics over adobo and Pinot. But kismet twisted again when Harlan, cornered by board pressure, offered Leilani VP, strings attached, bury the suit, play nice. Temptation gnawed, security for their dreams, a nest egg for the family they'd whisper about in the dark. "What if we compromise?" Leilani murmured one dawn, Arya's head on her chest. Arya lifted, eyes like verdant code, clear, unyielding. "Then we become them." The words landed like a reboot, resetting priorities. Leilani declined, the office erupting in murmurs, but she walked taller, head held to the fog. Freelance bloomed, consults for startups championing inclusion, keynotes at conferences where her story sparked symposia on queer innovation. Arya's designs went viral, a line of eco-gadgets branded EcoWare, proceeds seeding scholarships. Climax crested at the annual tech gala, chandeliers dripping light like molten data over black-tie throngs. Leilani, in a sleek emerald gown that hugged her curves like custom code, presented EcoGrid's rollout, cities from Oakland to Oslo syncing grids, slashing emissions. Derek lurked in the crowd, reinstated on probation, his glare a glitch. As applause thundered, he approached, champagne flute trembling. "You win, Reyes. But it'll chew you up." Venom veiled as wisdom. Leilani met his eyes, unflinching. "It tried, and I bit back." Arya appeared then, arm linking Leilani's, a united front, her sapphire dress a counterpoint, their fingers laced in plain sight. The gala's afterparty pulsed in a warehouse loft, bass thrumming like heart monitors. Amid swirling dancers, Leilani pulled Arya to a shadowed alcove, the city's pulse outside mirroring theirs. "This is us," she breathed, lips claiming areas in a kiss that tasted of triumph and tomorrow. Hands roamed, urgent yet tender, bodies pressing as if to merge source into soul. They slipped away to the rooftop, rain-kissed air cooling fevered skin, making love under indifferent heavens, slow, sacred, a liturgy of limbs and sighs. In Arya's embrace, Leilani found absolution, not erasure, but inscription, her story etched in another's gaze. Months unfurled like debugged loops. Echo Grid scaled, accolades stacking like server racks, Forbes 30 under 30 for Leilani, a MacArthur nod whispering on winds. Their wedding was intimate, a courtyard affair in Golden Gate Park, vows exchanged under ancient redwoods. In circuits and silences, I choose you. Guests, diverse coders, Lola beaming from the front row, witnessed a union not just of hearts, but histories. Lola's blessing. Bayanahan lives in you both, Anik. Yet humanity's code is iterative, flaws persistent. A new hire, echoing Derek's playbook, tested boundaries, subtle slights in code reviews, gendered jabs and slack. Leilani mentored her through it, turning foe to ally, the cycle bending toward light. In quiet evenings, as Arya sketched beside her, Leilani reflected, theft had forged her, not broken. Her voice, amplified by love's unyielding echo, resonated beyond boardrooms. Podcasts dissecting bias, TED Talks on queer resilience, a memoir in the works titled Uncompiled, A Engineer's Heart. One crisp autumn dawn, as they jogged the Presidio trails, fog lifting like veils, Leilani paused, hand on Aria's swelling belly. Their miracle via science and serendipity. Our grid, she said, awe threading her tone, expanding. Aria smiled, radiant. Infinite loops, my love. In that vista of bay and bridge, Leilani saw the arc. From lone coder in the bullpen to architect of legacies, her work stolen but spirit sovereign. They could take the lines, but never the language of her becoming, a symphony of code and caress, sung in tandem, forever unmuted. The years wove forward, threads of trial and tenderness. Echo Grid evolved into a nonprofit arm, Leilani at the helm, deploying microgrids to disaster zones, hurricane-ravaged Philippines, wildfire-scarred California hills, each install a tribute to roots and renewal. Aria's studio thrived, designs adorning museums, her illustrations in Leilani's book of visual verse. Their daughter, born under cherry blossoms in spring, inherited the fire, tiny fingers grasping at keyboards by age 2, eyes like Aria's, curiosity Leilani's. Challenges lingered, as they do in life's beta. Boardroom battles resurfaced when InnovateX sued for IP remnants, lawyers circling like vultures. Leilani faced them unflinching, testimony a masterclass in fortitude, Aria's hand under the table her ground wire. Victory came, precedent set, laws shielding creators from corporate kleptocracy. In celebration, they honeymooned in Big Sur, cliffs dropping to turquoise seas, bodies rediscovering in salt spray and starlight, love's algorithm refined. Parenthood added variables, sleepless hacks balancing bottles and bugs, playdates laced with lessons on consent and circuits. Lila, their girl, grew fierce, coding her first app at 8, a storybook generator for immigrant tales. Family dinners echoed with laughter, Lola's adobo steaming beside Aria's experimental salads, debates on ethics sparking like synapses. At 35, Leilani keynote Davos, her voice global now, advocating for gendered AI audits, queer coders in corridors of power. Derek faded to footnote, a podcast punchline, his attempts at comeback thwarted by her network's quiet vigilance. Aria's gallery show that year, Veins of the Valley, featured Echo Grid portraits, Leilani's silhouette woven in wire and watercolor, selling out to tech titans seeking redemption. Through tempests, a market crash tanking grants, Lila's schoolyard bullying over 2 moms, they endured, resilience recursive. Therapy sessions unpacked scars, date nights reclaimed joy, salsa in the Mission, stargazing in Point Reyes, where Leilani proposed expansions, Aria dreamed derivatives. By 40, legacy crystallized. Echo Grid a UN pillar, scholarships blooming worldwide. Lila's bar mitzvah, blended rites honoring her mother's heritages, drew tears, toasts to unbroken chains. Leilani, gray threading her curls, looked at Aria across the room, lines etched by laughter and loss, and knew theft had been the forge, love the temper. In twilight years, retired to a Sonoma vineyard, they coded for pleasure. Open source odes to ocean restoration, Lila's firm orbiting theirs. Rocking on porches, hands clasped, they'd recount the boardroom blaze, the rooftop revelation, voices intertwined. They tried, Leilani would say, but we amplified. Aria's reply, eternal, and echoed forever. So the grid pulsed on, a testament. In America's forge of dreams deferred, one woman's code, and the woman who voiced it rewrote the run.